Welcome to the Brave New Wealth podcast, where we discuss wealth from many different perspectives: physical, mental, social, financial. I'm your host, Julienna. Bienvenue à tout le monde. Bienvenido a todos. Herzlich willkommen. Everyone is welcome here. This podcast is sponsored by Engineer Tax Services, a subsidiary of Engineer Tax Advisory. Our goal is to support business owners, real estate investors, advisors, CPAs with proven expertise, with education, with strategies that will help you support your clients and helping them in lowering their tax burden. So make sure you get a hold of me, you get a hold of us to help you in that regard. Today, I'm really excited to have a friend and an expert in her field to share with us her journey, to share with us her experience helping business owners and also throughout her adventure. But I'm going to cheat a little bit because her bio is quite impressive. So Syreeta Mitchell is a money matchmaker in her daytime. She's the founder of Cheez, a rising DFW boutique commercial brokerage offering traditional and alternative lending solutions. She does capital raising, consulting, and basically any financial tools that will help you elevate your business and grow your business. With more than a decade of industry expertise, she continues to cultivate partnerships with lending partners, VCs, family offices, and private equity firms to serve her clients. In addition to funding deals, her Texas nonprofit Cheez Foundation is committed to her passion for educating small business owners and investors through curated experiences by equipping them with necessary tools, knowledge, and network to help them make informed decisions and to inspire their success. When Serita is taking a break, she enjoys traveling the world, salsa dancing, practicing Spanish, photography, and exploring the world of book publishing. She has been a featured guest speaker on the Bloomberg Uncommon Law podcast, Global Entrepreneurship Week, Houston Business Journal, Greater Houston Partnership, and various other platforms, including her own podcast. She proudly represents her alma mater as an alumna of the University of Houston. Serita, welcome. Now, this is very impressive. This is a very impressive bio. So I have a little challenge for you. Like when you at a networking event, or if you have like a 30 seconds to see who Serita is, what would you tell our listeners?
Thank you, by the way, Julienna. I'm so honored to be here. But to your question, when I'm at a networking event, I lead with being a value connector. When people meet me, I don't, most people tell you, blah, blah, blah. This is what I do. This is where I've been. And it's always kind of that same mundane kind of like introduction. And then people check out on that. But I get people's attention and say, hey, I connect businesses with money. Instantly, when I say that, they get it. Then I say, okay, think of me as a money matchmaker. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows what a love matchmaker is, but it's funny, but it's a great icebreaker to really let people know exactly what kind of value I bring into relationships.
Absolutely. And I've seen you in action. I know that you connect with people in an authentic way. You're easy to relate to. And so I'm sure it's a pleasure to be around you and to feel that spirit. So I want to ask you, before we dig into what you do, what your passions are, I'd like to ask, what is something you've done recently that is a bit outside of your comfort zone that you told yourself, I'm going to do this. I know it will be beneficial. It's not easy, but I'm going to go ahead and jump. It can be, in the mental, physical, social, or financial realm. But yes, if you want to take a few minutes to tell us, what is something that you've done lately?
Wow. I have so many things to share. I'll share one. Okay. I was in Honduras. I started the year off in Honduras at the Usha Village, which is Dr. Sebi's, the late Dr. Sebi's health and wellness village. And while I was there, it was an intense detox, Julienna. And I literally told myself, okay, I need to just take a break, reset. But then I challenged myself to take the plunge in and do the duck plant again. So it was so intense. It was, just imagine, 10 plus hours of purging, and just, it was a mental reset, but it was also just a much needed, reset just for my overall health. And I'm so glad that I did it, Juliana, because it's given me the discipline to stick to my health and wellness goals. And that's something that's really important to me, Juliana.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for sharing this, Syreeta. And I know I saw you before you left, and I saw you after you left, and I saw the change, and I also saw your dedication. And I want to also tell our listener that you motivated me to rethink my own health and be more proactive about certain things, like, going to check certain things, with the doctors and whatnot. Sometimes, when we get really busy with work, we have a tendency to procrastinate on things that are important. And so even though, I'm good about working out every day and doing all these things, but you really help me put on the schedule, when am I going to have that doctor visit? When am I going to do this? Because at the end of the day, we all know that if we don't have our health, we have nothing. We can have 1,000 problems, but when the health problem starts, that's the one problem. So
That's
taking care of
true.
ourselves is
Wow.
so important. Yes.
You're right. You're so right about that. And health and wealth, they go
Hmm.
together.
Absolutely.
Think about that. How far can you really go? You can have all the money in the world that you might ever dream of, but where are you going if you don't have if you don't have your health? Or
Absolutely.
if you're dependent on medications, or if you're not sleeping, or if you're not
Yes.
taking care of yourself. And that's honestly, that's the first priority. That is
Yes.
so important.
Yes. And I think most of us in the business world, educated, we know these things, but it's so important to be reminded constantly, because it's always about the application of what we know. I mean, knowledge
That's
is one
true.
thing, and I think a lot of us have acquired a lot of knowledge, but to be able to implement and be consistent in creating those good habits. So thank you for the reminder, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Maybe next time I'll join you to Honduras.
Sure.
So,
Join me.
all right. So with that, I like what you put in your bio, what you do outside of work, and we'll come back to what you do on the day to day. But how did you come to, dancing salsa and traveling quite a bit? Because I know you've traveled the world, and that's something you're passionate about. What motivated you to take a step and do those things?
Wow. What was it? So I started salsa dancing in 2016, and it was a wonderful way to network. At that time, I just remember taking salsa dance lessons because I didn't have to sit in traffic. The classes were always usually around 5 p.m. Instead of getting in the car and driving, you know, sitting for 30 minutes or an hour, I just would go and invite friends to go join me, and we'd go salsa dancing, or we'd have an early dinner or happy hour, and that's how it started. And then as I started traveling, I've been to 17 countries. But as I started traveling, I found that that was a wonderful way to create connections outside of the U.S. You can travel so many countries around the world, and you will always be able to find someone who's dancing salsa somewhere. And so
Yes,
it's just a wonderful way to meet people. I think everybody should do it. Plus, it's cardio.
it is good cardio. I
It's fun.
That's awesome. I love it. I love that you found something really fun to do, and good for you too, in order to connect with people. And I love all the Latin dances. I did ballroom Latin dance when I was in college, and then, of course, on the weekend it would be club Latin dance. So I love all the dances. We'll have to go together someday. So, and then, yeah, I guess that coincide with the traveling and, learning about other cultures. And I do know that you have a passion for that. So that is wonderful. Now, switching gear a little bit, the finance world is really where you thrive right now, with helping business owners and early entrepreneurs, or even established entrepreneurs, looking at finance a different way. So I'd like to ask you where you see that maybe the lack of knowledge and education is most obvious when you talk to people and business owners and entrepreneurs. Where do you see that there is a lack and a miss where you can come in and help them?
Absolutely. I believe that money is it's a foundation of the business. If money's not if there's no money being generated or money to grow the business, I mean, again, the business will be stagnant. So I would say a lot of businesses, the owner usually has a very strong passion for creating a product or a service. And oftentimes they're really good at focusing on that. But then a lot of the other standard operating procedures or the way they handle their money, sometimes that's neglected. So, and there's not a lot of time. A lot of business owners don't have the time, to be honest with you, to just really, have a, you know, heart to heart, transparent, honest conversation about the fact that they just don't know how to manage their money, even in their personal life. So sometimes that might spill over into the business. Not a bad thing. It's just, being able to guide or bridge that gap for clients to be able to show them, hey, you don't have to be the expert. You just need to know the experts that can help you navigate this world and help that business drive to success.
Thank you. That is so important. And I think you touch on something very important, and is the time element, the education, and also having the right advisors around is so important. That is something that I think every business owner, entrepreneur needs to do very early on in their business, is to be surrounded by those experts who will be able to elevate them and show them the hurdles that they can avoid if they have the right people around. So with that, do you have an example of maybe recent or not so recent, an example of, a business that you were able to come in and help, and you could see really the before and after once, you were able to come in and see what they were able to do? Could you share that with us?
Absolutely. And I think we would be on the call all day if I went through every example, but that's a
Yes.
good thing, right? Because I'm helping people and it's creating results and impact on the business. I'll give you an example that happened just before we started this interview. One of my clients came to me. Actually, we had a conversation a couple of months ago about some of their struggles. They were just very convinced, okay, I'm going to handle it on my own. This particular client was drowning in MCA debt, which is merchant cash advance loans. Think of those as business payday loans that are very predatory. So this particular client was spending $84,000 in debt service payments to pay just the bare minimum, just because they owed so much interest to these merchant cash advance loan lenders. Now, I'm just to level set this, MCAs have there's appropriate times to use them. So it's not that they're terrible. It's just that a client in this case, they were not able to pay that balance off in full. They kept trying to keep up. They were getting behind and they were drowning in the interest that they owed the MCA lender. So fast forward, this particular client came to me and they said, okay, Syreeta, what do I do? This is my situation. I don't want to lose my business. The business had been around for over 10 years. And we're talking very successful business that hasn't even touched their potential just yet. So I ended up working with them on a debt restructure program. And so outside of all the things that I do with SBA loans, lines of credit, term loans, all kinds of, all of the things that I do, debt restructuring is just one additional service that I provide clients that are in the situation where they need help. They need to be rescued from debt. In this case, the client was able to we were able to put them on a plan to reduce their actual payments. 90%, that money that they would be saving could be reinvested into their business operations to be used for their marketing and other operations, to bring on other additional talent. So just think about that for a second, Julienna. If anybody's listening to this, interview, I just want you to know, by just saving a business from, number one, from going out of business because of debt, there's no price tag on that. To take someone from that situation where the house is burning, or they're drowning and they can't even breathe because the money is just going out and they don't have a way to reinvest that money back into their business. By doing this one simple thing, now I've earned that client's trust in this case, but we were able to do other things to help that business grow and thrive. So I would consider that to be a big success. My client, I've care very much about my clients, their welfare, their state of mind, this was very stressful for these clients, but now they're able to sleep at night just by doing this one simple change in their business.
Wow, that is a very powerful story. And I'm excited for people to hear this because I'm sure when you work with a situation, you know that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of similar situation out there. So hopefully, the right people hear that message and know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure sometimes when we talk about finance and money and tax, it's very cold concept. It's not, I don't know, it's not charity. But at the same time, you are saving people. You are saving people from losing their businesses, from having that anxiety constantly. So in a way, it is a little bit of humanitarian going on there.
It
Or help,
is.
or optimizing mental health and
That's
of course
true.
physical health. It's all connected. This is why I
Oh,
wanted to do
absolutely.
this podcast with the different aspects of wealth, because at the end of the day, it's all connected. And like we were saying at the beginning, if your health is not good, if your financial health is not good, it affects your mental and your physical. And so it's good to work on everything and have it, optimize and do what's necessary. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
Now, with all of the things that you're doing, like what are some of the goals that you have for you, for your business, moving on this year? Because we also want to support you, and if there are people listening who want to come to you, what are some of the things that you are personally looking for towards this year?
Wow, this year I'm super excited. It's already started off pretty quick and fast. It's moving. This year, Juliana, I have to say one of the biggest goals that I have is to expand my reach with my education. Uh, Events, things that will bring people together to have honest, transparent conversations about money. I want to educate businesses on the importance of business credit. Business credit is one of those things that most people didn't learn that. We learn about our personal credit, but most people don't know that, wow, if I'm starting a business, I should be starting that early. I want to also educate people on how to leverage the right financial, funding opportunities, being able to make people aware of opportunities like the SBA 7A program. A lot of conversations, you just hear funding, but there's so many tools that can be mobilized to help businesses grow. And it's all about just quarterbacking those conversations, making people feel safe to talk about their experiences, but to let them know that they have, a safe place to go that's going to actually look out for them. I really look out for my clients. I pride myself in creating relationships, but back to the question, I really want to focus on the education part of building the message and showing people a better way to operate their businesses.
Thank you. That's great to know, because then, for anyone who hears, they may have that need. They may want you to come into their group to educate their professionals about these kind of things, which takes me back a little bit about something you said. But could you explain to our audience what a business credit is, compared to a personal? How can they obtain the business credit?
Good question. And
I'm fumbling
absolutely.
a little bit here with my words.
No problem. No problem. So business credit, every business has the ability to, well, let's just step back. Our personal social security number, we all have one of those in most cases, or if you're, uh, it's 9 digits. Well, your business EIN number is also 9 digits. That is that is the number that you could say is your social security, but for your business. So with establishing business credit, it really comes down to the simplicity of just saying, hey, instead of creating a profile for your personal, you're actually adding additional trade lines or accounts that show history of you making on-time payments and keeping commitments. This is super important. There's what you call a PAYDEX score for business credit. Business credit requires you to have a score, and a good score is typically 80 or higher. And that's basically you showing or demonstrating by having accounts, whether those are net 30 accounts, whatever they may be. It could be, accounts that are unsecured lines of credit. It shows the lenders, and it's a documented process of creating a profile that shows your credit worthiness and ability to keep on time commitments. And that score is very different from your personal score. So your personal score, we all know that 800 is your top score. Well, on the business side of things, it's evaluated totally different. We look at utilization on personal credit, but on business credit, we look at more of timeliness of payments. So this is such a wonderful tool to leverage. And again, one of the things that I strive to do is to just show people how you do it. It's not hard. And you can book me, obviously, if you want some more information. I can show you and give you one-on-one coaching and consultation on this. But there are ways that you could do it yourself. But again, if you're busy and you're trying to make money, you may not have the time. That's why you want to work with experts like myself that can show you and coach you through that process.
Thank you. That's very, very helpful to know. Yes. And again, I'm hoping that a lot of people listening to this particular podcast will see the use and call you to get that support. And then you also mentioned a different type of SBA loan that's not often that's not well known and not often used. Could you explain what that one is, that one particular one? Because I think everybody's heard SBA, small business allocations, and then so tell us what's the difference between the one that you were mentioning.
Wonderful. Great question. SBA loans, I really love talking about SBA loans, but we were talking about the 7A loan. And this particular loan is, you're right, Julienna, I have to say, I agree with you that it's not talked about, and it should be. But this is a loan that allows businesses to lend or to borrow up to $5 million to be used for acquisitions. If I'm buying a franchise or if I'm buying or expanding, I'm able to use it for real estate, business owner occupied real estate that I'm going to be using for the production of my products, for the expansion of my business. Also can be used for working capital, marketing, equipment, hiring your team, expanding. So what's so neat about this loan, again, you have the ability to have the Small Business Administration to guarantee that loan. So that lender that's giving you the loan is typically a bank. It could be a private lender, but the SBA comes in and says, well, if you meet this criteria, that loan is guaranteed, meaning that in the event that a person defaults, the SBA will step in and cover that loan, take the risk to assume a percentage of that loan. It could be 75%, which is standard, 90% if a business is an exporting business that has a product or service that they export. What's so exciting about this loan is that most people, when they're starting their business, they dump so much money that some people will take money out of their retirement and they'll invest it into their startup costs. Well, in this case, imagine this. Imagine if you had an opportunity to buy another business, a franchise or another business that's already generating income and revenue. But imagine if you could have the SBA loan to help you finance that business, which is already cash flowing, already has an operational team. You already have everything you need in place without the headache of putting so much front-loaded money into the business to start it, with only an equity injection of 10 to 20% on average of what the cost of that acquisition might be. So this is one of the reasons why I'm super excited, Julienna, about this particular loan, is because, yes, it is a long process to get, but it's so worthwhile. And if people knew that they had the opportunity to get this type of funding, I think you would have more people looking to start businesses the right way, the smart way, by buying an operating business without starting the business and going through the pain of losing, some of their resources. So hope that answers your question.
Yes, absolutely. That's great. Great knowledge. Again, hopefully, you get a lot of calls after this. So tell me, what would be the top 3 qualifier if someone wanted to look at this? Because I'm sure a lot of listeners have that question in mind. What do I need to have or to to be in order to qualify for this kind of loan?
Excellent. So real quick, there's a long list, but I'll tell you the most important thing. If you're a business operating business already, the owner, any 20% or greater owner has to provide their personal and business tax returns for 3 years, or at least from inception. If you're buying a business, the financials of that seller that's going to sell you that business, those finances are combined. So imagine that. That's going to help you qualify for that loan. A credit score, some lenders are different. You may have lenders that are looking for 680 or higher. You may have some lenders that would be willing to accept a 660 credit score. And I'm talking about personal credit or higher. And in some cases, there's some really creative ways to structure the loan. If someone, has a business partner, maybe there's a way to average those credit scores. But typically, it's going to be financials and projections. If the business, the resume, a personal financial statement, your profit and loss and balance sheets. So it means that business needs to come into the conversation with a very organized, data room with all their financials ready to go. That will speed the process up tremendously to have that.
That's great information, Serita. That's good to know. And now, where can people find you if they want to work with you? Where do they find you?
Absolutely. So you can email me or you can call me. I know I'll be sharing my information.
Yes, and we'll have all that in the notes. All your information. But what do you prefer? How do you prefer to be contacted? I guess I should say.
Wonderful. So if you're watching this video interview, please, scan the QR code and you are welcome to just schedule a funding discovery call with me. I typically spend 20 minutes, learning about you, the business owner, and your goals. And then we can talk about what that game plan needs to look like. And simple. And from there, we move forward with implementing the plan.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time in your super busy afternoon to come and speak to me, to the listener of the Brave New Wealth. And Serita, I will see you very soon. Come and join us for the next time.
Thank you for having me, Julienna.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Brave New Wealth podcast. I am really glad that Syreeta Mitchell was willing to come on the podcast and share a little bit about her journey, her expertise. Reach out to her if you need guidance for your business in the business loan area. This podcast is sponsored by Engineered Tax Services. If you are a real estate owner, real estate investor, reach out to us. If you are a CPA, an advisor with clients who have real estate, we want to help you take advantage of all the tax incentives available in the real estate area and beyond. So check out our website, look at our service line. Also, if you enjoy this podcast, make sure you leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I hope I will see you next time.